moment calls for it.
Yeah, I am now recording this computer. Everything
All
you
right.
say will be held against you. I got my trivia there. Okay, I guess we just roll into it. You're in a car, so maybe
Yes.
we just do this.
Yes, I am in a car.
But I found in a suitcase unopened for 15 years 2 days ago. Actually, Mimi found. Wondering where these were. So these have been in a suitcase for 15 years.
Nice. Well, the good news is they haven't really put out a higher quality version of those since then.
Okay, there we go. I was They didn't Blu-ray and these are DVDs.
They did Blu-ray, but it's all from the same source. Like, there's been no.
Ah,
The only one that has gotten a master, like a 4K, is the original. The rest
uh,
are just all. They didn't even have a nice box set. It was just like one of those Walmart looking things.
I bet you could watch the remake and on Blu-ray in a good quality if you actually wanted to watch that movie.
Yeah, I have it. I don't hate it. There have been times when I watched it that I wasn't that some parts of it was like shitty to me, but no, I actually
No, I
there
only
are
saw it the
parts of it.
one time in the theater, and I mean, I do remember a couple fun, like weird ass dream sequences, which is what you need out of one of those movies. So I do remember it hitting
It
one or two of those.
yeah, it has aged much better than some of the later sequels. I'll say that.
Yeah, five and six aren't probably gonna get viewed a whole lot, but I
They
don't know.
they
So,
I mean, just I did a whole series rewatch once the 4K came out of part one, just because I wanted to. I was in a mood to go back through, and
I feel like there's a key to six though. I feel like there's a way to enjoy six, and I just haven't figured out what it is yet.
I mean, I was pretty much a child when I was like thinking those were the best movies ever. And some things age with you and some just don't.
I do remember always liking two. Okay, I mean not as well as one, three, or four, but I was never really a hater on two.
I didn't appreciate two. That was my least favorite as a kid
That
because it
one's
didn't
kind of
follow the
couldn't.
continuity. But
Right.
it's
Well, yeah,
it's
it's got
great.
yeah, that didn't bug me so much, I guess, because I wasn't thinking about it. But I was like, oh, well, it's Nancy's back at the third one. Okay, whatever.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's one of my favorites now.
okay, here we go. Give it a couple seconds and I'll start. Hello, welcome to Time Enough Podcast, where we take a drive to all the forlorn cabins of the Twilight Zone. This one being one of the final stops, the penultimate stop. It's the fear. Hi, this is Matt here. Over there, it's Andrew.
Hi,
Driving to some remote location, it seems.
I'm just in downtown Athens, Georgia.
Okay, I just see a few trees outside. I was hoping that you had found your way into like the, 30 miles from anywhere.
Oh, there are a whole bunch of tiny footprints.
Oh, okay. You have tiny footprints there, not giant footprints. Fingerprints.
No, no, just tiny.
Yeah, I am curious what where this episode kind of rates in your Twilight zoning because we had to rework the schedule a little bit. So I tossed you here. You seemed happy to be tossed into this one. So
Yeah, the fear has got one of my favorite endings of any Twilight Zone episode ever. I really, really like. I I hadn't. It's not in my regular rotation when I'll do my Twilight Zone marathons for New Year's. However, um, uh, I did get a chance to rewatch it last week for this in anticipation of this, and I really really like it. Like, I totally enjoyed it. And I the opposite was true. I liked the ending less than I liked the whole rest of it this time.
okay, so we twirled your expectations on this episode.
Absolutely, yeah, it felt wonderful.
Let me do a little bit of the trivia. The original air date was May 29th, 1964. Script is the last Serling we're gonna get on the show. Stand by for Night Gallery from here. Although there was that Western, I guess Serling did like a year later, but I wasn't really planning to go there.
Mm,
Have you ever seen that, by the way? Or I don't only remember the name of it. You know what I'm talking about?
yeah, I do. I
Yeah.
do. And I think I've only, well, let's see. Yeah, I've seen it at least once.
Okay, so I'm sitting here trying to like at least name check it properly, and now I'm looking to his military career, so that's not helpful. Corporate
No,
censorship.
when the book came out, the Twilight Zone Companion, uh, I realized I'd never seen it, and so I went and watched it, and I think that was it.
Man, I'm still looking for it. It's kind of difficult to track down. That show just seems to have gotten memory hold. Okay, The Loner. There we go. The Lone. No, he shelved the series. Okay, maybe I don't know. Anyway,
Digging through his
Serling
writing
Western.
credits.
It seems he wrote some. I can't tell if it actually got made now. So anyway,
Huh.
let me talk about trivia I know rather than trivia I don't know, I guess.
Maybe I'm maybe I watched the wrong shit. Who knows?
Ted Post directed. I've now got a little shrine set up in my room for his job helming beneath the planet of the apes, of course. Uh, oh, I do have to. I sent this to a few people on DM, but I was passing and I took a photo a few days ago. I passed a sign that said Ursus hair design. So I'm like, I guess that's what he General Ursus did after the
Yeah.
world blows up and beneath the planet of the apes. He started doing people's hair.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I didn't see that. Where'd you post that?
I think I DM'd it. I'll have to DM it your way now.
Yeah, do that. I'd love that.
Music is from Fred Steiner's score for 100 Yards Over the Rim. I just had to note that because I noted the score and I was like, did they write an original one this late in the series? But no, it's from like what was that, season two? So it's been a while.
Yeah, that's one of the earlier ones.
Peter Mark Richmond was Trooper Robert Franklin. He was a character actor who did plenty of TV and film for half a century. Since I can pick and choose, I'm just going to cite his role in Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Um,
Ooh.
He'd obviously be a little older there, so harder to spot. Charlotte Scott was played by Hazel George. She was an OG scream queen, showing up in Hammer films like The Curse of Frankenstein and The Man Who Could Cheat Death, and iconic AIP Poe adaptations like The Premature Burial, The Raven, and The Mask of the Red Death. That's it for trivia. There's only what two. This is a two-hander, right? So
Hmm. Yes, it is.
then the trivia I cannot get that. I mean, I guess it could get deeper if I really start looking at production, but well, I usually don't do that, so I didn't. Could you give us Rod Serling's opening narration, please?
I would. Which opening would you like it to come from?
All of
All right.
them. Raw.
All right, here we go. The major ingredient of any recipe for fear is the unknown. And here are two characters about to partake of the meal. Miss Charlotte Scott, a fashion editor, and Mr. Robert Franklin, a state trooper. And the third member of the party, the unknown, that has just landed a few hundred yards away. This person or thing is soon to be met. This is a mounted cabin, but it is also a clearing in the shadows known as the Twilight.
All right. So
Hey!
it is interesting looking at this as Serling's final script because you are just like, how tired is this guy?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
season two,
that's
I imagined him like with a microphone by his pool, like, teletyping or whatever they call it, his scripts, like giving the script like in a Serling voice, not a newscaster voice. But see, like in the fear, I'm not I'm not throwing this episode completely under a bus or anything, but I do like now see him kind of like half passed out with a margarita next to him next to the pool, like
no, it wouldn't surprise me if the general assessment by the audience, the original viewing audience, was that, yeah, Twilight Zone's pretty much a parody of itself, or that it's just kind of running on fumes, you know what I mean? Or it's running in place, or whatever you want to call it, spinning its wheels.
yeah,
And that's valid. There's not a whole lot of. I mean, some of this episode is very stupid, but
but
I
that's kind
still
of the
like.
best part of it.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Because it's at this late in the Twilight Zone, it is, as we've been assessing, it's like there are a few episodes here and there that are still somewhat original, some of them written by Rod Serling too. But then we
Yeah,
definitely are getting these pastiche episodes, which Stop Over in a Quiet Town is one where I thought this is a very good episode where everything this has been done on the show before, you know?
yeah, that one it really is just sort of it's almost like they've got their index cards and they're just putting like, clearing in the woods. Go back
I,
in time.
Like, okay, what do we have in here? A whole lot of the invaders, right? Except that now that it's
Mhm.
been flipped, where it is actually people and they're the
Mhm.
weird aliens are tiny. So we got the invaders in here. I would the invaders for me, I guess, is a kind of a hard episode to watch, because it's so stylized and there's no talking. And that's the invaders is a great episode. I'm just saying it's one that
Mhm.
it you kind of have to. It's not just like put that one on for funsies, you know?
No, 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 no. It's like the one. What is it? Owl Creek. What is it?
Occurrence at Owl Creek.
Occurrence at Owl Creek. That's not one of the ones that makes you feel very good either.
See, I would be more willing to put that one on though because of the insane sound design. I guess
Oh
the ones
no, that's like a that one is well. That was the one that was produced outside of the United States and wasn't in English, and they actually repurposed, right?
correct.
Okay.
So I mean we can't really count that as a production. That actually technically is the final episode because they bought it after producing the last Twilight Zone to save some
Mhm.
money. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, where were we?
We were just saying how kind of rote this episode seems,
Oh yeah,
or
a
paint
little
by
bit
numbers.
of course, a little bit of the little people, with the astronauts and the tiny people there. We've kind of been there. There was one or other two things that really I was like, oh, this is from there, this is from there. Against the index cards. This one, I guess the zinger is it throws in the index card of insane inflatable alien, which this that's for this episode. This episode gets insane inflatable alien.
When I say stupid, that's exactly what I'm referring to.
Right, but for me, that's the money shot. We do get a money shot in this episode, which don't always get anymore, So it
No,
does
it's
seem,
true. It has to have that snap, and it does. It just doesn't land for me, and I
uh,
would imagine for most.
the end of season five had the second half of season five has started to be like, wait a minute, we do money shots around here. We've kind of been forgetting about that because the one that
Right.
where your power went out and Mr. Garrity in the graves, I'm watching. I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, Andrew must have wanted this because we basically get a pre-Romero scene. I don't know if that's what
Yes, we
we.
do.
Okay.
That's pretty much why. It's a whole
Yeah.
conversation related to that, but the episode was great.
Right. So it was grave. Um well, but yeah. So this has the money shot. The acting is good enough. I definitely like found it interesting looking at Hazel, what was her name? Hazel Carroll, was it? I think I just said it wrong.
Gibson,
Hazel George. No,
Angel George. I knew it
that
was a G.
no, hey, okay, Hazel Court. Hazel George is the secretary that would give Walt Disney scotch and massage his polo injury.
I love her though, and I didn't know her from I didn't know Hammer because I didn't watch those coming up as a horror fan. And then one year for Christmas and my birthday, I just went for a deep dive in it, and I loved her in that in the Corman Poe stuff too, and definitely in the Hammer stuff. And when she shows up on screen when I did the rewatch of this, I was like, "Whoa, she's amazing! She's totally awesome in this."
So in the trivia, I did refer to her as OG Scream Queen, which I think is accurate. Is it? I mean, I don't know. Maybe
It
there's
was
someone in the
before the
20s.
term existed, but you could call her that, sure.
Yeah, just more so than any. I'm thinking of past things, and then there's not. I can't think of anyone in the 40s that's any women that are particularly known for being in a bunch of horror movies.
No, not really. You just have the ones that were in an iconic role, you know.
Yeah. So I guess that's the thing. And it's been, I've seen a lot of Hammer. I've seen a lot of those Poe things, but it's been a while. Like the Poe ones, as you probably remember, they put all the Poe ones out in like two for DVDs in like the year 2000, right? So,
Oh, see, I went for they did a remasters Blu-ray at some point, maybe about 10 years ago, of just a ton of Vincent Price stuff. There were like 3 volumes, and that's where mine came from.
okay. So, yeah. So, your entry point. Did you watch those like younger, or is that when you got into the Poe ones?
Mm, no, I didn't see any of those. The only Vincent Price I'd seen were the House on Haunted Hill and The Tingler
Oh,
as a
okay.
kid.
Hmm.
Other than, obviously, what was he at? Edward Scissorhands, the Reaper, the Thriller rap or whatever it was. And so Vincent Price was an icon, but I couldn't really name you. But The Tingler was one of the first horror movies. It may be the first horror movie I watched all the way through with the sound on.
Um, no, one of his last things, weirdly enough, is the doing the voiceover at Disneyland Paris. Is it's not the Haunted Mansion there. It's got a slightly different name, but it's same idea. And
Oh, okay.
weirdly, I think they sat on it for like 20 years, and then in the dude, like it wasn't that long ago. Someone's like, "We have original Vincent Price we can put on this ride." Of course, you hear
Oops.
Vincent say something, you hear something in French, so that probably makes it feel slightly absurd. But
I don't know. I would go for it. Vincent Price was French makes me think of
well, I don't think he was speaking
his
the French.
cookbook.
I think he's just in English. But yeah,
Yeah.
they couldn't go back and get him for to do the French, unfortunately.
Cook, Cooking Price Wise, his awesome
Yeah.
book
Now I
of
will say,
recipes.
Hazel Carroll has one of the most mid-Atlantic accent I've ever heard, I think.
Hmm.
Just to throw that out. Oh, something when this episode started, another one, and I mentioned the sound design Owl Creek a few minutes ago. That was a big David Lynch thing, and then the first 5 minutes of this felt super like kind of Twin Peaks-ish.
Yeah,
With the
you're
music,
absolutely right.
I think they had some like baritone guitar going on. Trooper's not as cool
Yeah.
as Cooper. I wrote that, and then
No.
it's like, is this a Blue Rose incident? Kind of had that vibe to it. So
Yeah, well, his archetypes in Twin Peaks were all, I mean, that was his MO for so long, including with stuff like Blue Velvet as well. It all came from stuff like this.
and I'm thinking of Spielberg because they have the scene where the unseen aliens are trying to come into the house. I'm like, well, Close Encounters obviously did this a lot
Mhm.
better, but it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here kind of twanging through my notes now, like that guitar. Another thing, this is because I'm sitting here watching the show sequentially, but it's almost like I just recognize their outdoor soundstage now. It's got a recognizable like corner. Sometimes they get the corner, and it always catches my attention. So,
Well, they were certainly, this isn't one of their more expensive episodes. Matter of fact, part of the formula feeling of it just comes from the fact that, they would got really kind of bare bones with some of these, you called it two-hander, and that's a great way to describe it, but it's also a bottle story, or
yeah.
we call it bottle horror as well. They
Although
don't.
when she goes running and when they find the weenie alien, um, they're they do go from soundstage to location, which there's a very clear cut, like kind of
Yep.
jarring almost.
Yep. It's like, okay, we didn't run from here to here. Even like you can hide geography with editing sometimes, but that's just we've seen that set too much. We've seen all
Yeah.
that too much.
Just having covered Space 1999, and there were definitely like they didn't shoot on location that often, but when they did, it was just like the same thing. Like now we're on the soundstage, now we're not, and it's a little bit jarring if you got production glasses on.
Oh, sure.
Oh, I guess we could call the big fingerprints like another money shot. Again, inflatable weenie is definitely the. But I'm also using weenie as the amusement park term, where it's the big thing that catches your attention. So I'm kind of using it as a double, triple entendre or something like that. So
Yeah, no, it's I got it. I appreciate it. I'm sure the listeners do
everything's
as
left in
well.
there. So that's the main one. But yeah, the big fingerprints are definitely catch your attention because you're trying to work out what you're looking at for a second, even though it's
Yeah.
relatively clear. So they kind of do have to call it out. My
Well, they
fingerprints
do.
are too big.
And you also have, like, for a good part of the episode, the troopers doing the standard uh, don't believe the woman thing. And they establish that she's there because she's suffered a nervous breakdown, and so she's like, not only is she a woman, but she's also had a nervous breakdown, so she's like double unreliable.
I guess that's another thing where the invader stands out more because in that one, I mean, she's getting harassed, but she's alone, right? So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
gets a different vibe. I definitely thought like maybe he shouldn't have actually used the word invader in the script.
Oh, whoops.
That was a little too on the nose, I think. If
At
anyone was
that
kind of,
point,
if anyone had
he
forgotten, they're gonna remember then, if they've been watching a show. I guess the thing on 60s TV though is you can kind of assume 80% of the audience has not seen that episode because they, don't
yeah,
have VHS or anything. So
we think about it in season 5. You know?
I can reuse my season two idea. No one, like 10 people are going to remember. We don't have the ultra geeks, out doing podcasts about the show and calling this stuff out.
What kind of a nerd would do that?
Get a
Let's
life.
get real. Yeah, let's be real, man. Nobody's gonna ever act like that.
Right, right. Um, I do like when they see the 50, they say 500 feet, and that's like exaggerating by
No.
10. That's like 50 feet there, you know?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And the look of it when the first like that shot when you see that, you're just like, okay, it's kind of stupid, but when he shoots it, when the trooper shoots it and it pops, oh, that you're going like you're the air goes out of the viewer as well, like
No, and
like
it's like all
it's
I've
just
got's a pop gun. I'm like, yeah, yeah, that's all you got. Go for it, have a blast. Sometimes popping stuff's fun. What do we have? Oh yeah, yeah. Sometimes we have activities for summer school or winter school with a bunch of balloons or bags and stuff, and it's always
wait a
fun to
minute.
go nuts on
Are
that
you
stuff.
still are you still like I remember you had like a thing about balloons.
Do I have a thing about balloons? I don't like them being popped.
Or no, you didn't like the sound of the balloon, the texture, the squeakiness.
Oh, I don't like the squeaky sound, but I'm going around with scissors stabbing them. That's
Okay.
different.
Okay. Okay. That's something I just suddenly remembered about you. Because we you had come to Rocky Horror one night when the audience had the little squeaky props for Janet's breasts when during the touch me, and you were like, "Oh God!"
Oh
Like
yeah,
a whole
that
crowd of
that would have
people were
done it for
doing
me.
it.
Well, I can tell you about my most recent noise incident, which was last week. When one of my wife's friends was visiting from the States. We were at a art museum where they have Yayoi Kusama. She's kind of
Huh?
like, if you know her, she has a
Yeah.
display there of installation art, which is really cool on the third floor. And the second floor is where they have the changing exhibits, and it was like art from people 70 or up, right? So
Uh-huh.
I mean, there were some good things in there, but in general, it was like going to the Museum of Bad Art. Uh, like there was like this person has never seen that demonstration of perspective, like how you do distance. Like
Sure.
someone's playing a violin, and it's not like like how do you screw up a violin the way that it is in here? It just like some of it was insanely bad art. But the main point was there's this guy with a cane. It's a museum. It's very quiet, and he has like a little bell on his cane. So you're in this quiet museum, and there's like clank, clank, clank. It's like a clanking bell. It's not even like a ringing bell. And
Gotcha.
and then my daughter's her nose started bleeding, so the museum staff's like, "Oh, maybe you need to leave," and she got it under control or whatever, right? But they never talked to the guy with the bell on his cane. I mean, that was way
Maybe
more
he
annoying.
needed to leave. Maybe he
I,
caused a
I
nosebleed.
I think he did need to leave. I left. I left before everyone else because I was starting to get a headache from that thing. So just to tell you, these sound things still get to me, right? Uh,
Yeah, no, that's pretty sensitive, all right.
and I walked outside and sat down, but I wasn't far enough outside the exhibition. I could still hear the bell, so I had to walk a little deeper and find a different bench. So,
Yeah, but between the motorcycles growing up and being in all the bands and never wearing earplugs to working near a printing press, my hearing is just it sucks.
oh, I can also this is I'll have you tell the story and then tell the follow-up story with the chill with the feet story has a follow-up. Do you remember chill with
Okay,
chill with the feet?
are we going there?
Yeah, sure, we're going
Okay.
there.
So we went to see a movie. It was me and you and Dan, our drummer. This was teenage times. This was must have been like 93. So how old were you?
Yeah, probably like 14, 15, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, 14, because I was 16 in 93. We're at the movies and you you're just you were a fidgety kid and you were kicking the back of the seat of this couple in front of us and the guy, and this is just from my memory, turns around to you and goes, "Better chill out with them feet, man." And you're like, "Oh, sorry." But then, of course, you forget and you start kicking the seat. And then he turns around again and he's like, I told you to chill out with them feet. And then Dan goes, hey, just chill, man. And the guy yells, chill, I'll beat your ass.
So that's
Dan had a knack for always finding like the guy that wanted to fight and almost fighting him. Like everywhere we went. Like I don't know what it was about Dan, but he would always find a guy that was like ready to fight. And next thing you know, Dan's ready to fight the guy who's ready to fight. Like, how
don't
do you
get me
keep
wrong,
finding
Dan's one of
these
the
people?
nicest people you'll come across, so it's weird.
Yeah, but I guess he had that teenage want to fight me energy. I don't know what it was, but he'd always find the guy.
Okay. Anyway,
It's like, no,
the
I want
fo-
to hear it.
I think I have a
What's the
follow-up
follow up?
story. I told you my wife's friend was visiting, so that's where the first story came from. So, actually, just 2 nights ago, we were staying at a ryokan, like traditional Japanese inn, and
Huh?
and my wife and her friend were in one room, and my daughter and I were in the other room. And she had headphones because I didn't snore, it turns out, but sometimes people snore, right? So she had
Sure.
headphones. So the next day I was like, "Oh, I hope I wasn't the snore monster." And she's like, "No, you were the foot monster." Apparently, I went to sleep and just started kicking.
What?
So it's still going on.
Oh my God! In your sleep, you're kicking?
So my 15-year-old daughter told me to chill with the feet. She didn't say it the
And you
same way,
said,
but
chill, I'll
but
beat your ass.
okay. Anyway, that was a heavy tangent, but I think it was worth it.
Come on, you're gonna have to censor me saying the A
No,
word,
no,
or
that's
are we
fine. That's fine.
okay?
Um, so the fear as opposed to the feet. Anything
Right,
else you
right.
want to throw out on this episode?
You know, yeah, I've kind of all I remembered about it was the ending with the giant eyeball monster who is just poorly done. Very cheap. The whole episode is cheap. Um, I have
I
since
love the
also.
cheapness of it, just to be on the record.
Oh no, that's fine. I mean, we understand that the show was on the way out,
The
and
invaders ended with a dumb prop too, if we, just
it
to throw
did.
that out there.
True,
That
true.
one annoyed me
Um,
more. Maybe
the
because that episode
band.
was more intense and stuff up to that point. And this one,
It's
yeah.
true. We talked about that it being a lot heavier, whereas this one's more campy and by the numbers. But do you know the band The Rentals? Did you see that documentary about the Rentals?
I know the band. I didn't see the documentary, so you'll have to.
Documentary's great. But their gimmick is they wear these big eyeballs heads. So as soon as I see this guy, I'm like, oh, the Rentals. Where are the rest of them? There's only one rental. But yeah, I that was the memorable thing. But now going in, as soon as I saw her name's George
Hazel
Hazel
Carroll.
Gibson,
Hazel
Hazel
Carroll.
Carroll. Okay, sorry.
I,
I'm
I,
more of an
I'll also
Ingrid.
correct. It's also the residents. The rentals were friends of Pete.
Okay, the rentals. So my uh, who are the residents?
The residents are the eyeball guys. The rentals are the friends of P guys. Bet you're
Rentals.
friends with
I don't
me,
even
you'll
know.
be friends with P. Some like 90s song.
I don't know where I got that from.
It's
Anyways,
close.
the she yeah, I'm more of an Ingrid Pitt fan in terms of Hammer horror ladies. But she's fabulous. That whole thing is great. I love that atmosphere. And so the parts of it that I just didn't find that interesting or memorable. Now I love, and I have to say, as a result of doing this episode, that the fear is going to be in my regular rotation. So uh, it has renewed interest for me on that front, and the reveal that the aliens are in fact tiny and are afraid of being squashed and want to go home. I think that's I think that's delightful, and this is another episode that um, I would because for when I was first watching the New Year's marathons, I'd have to I kind of programmed it to get my daughter interested, so I did a lot of the ones that had like little characters and stuff like that in it. Um, Five Characters in Search of an Exit was like her favorite, because they're all dolls at the end. Um, so this one I think could go in that rotation of like kid-friendly ones.
Maybe I have heard of some children being terrified of inflatables, large inflatables.
Oh, good. That's
Like they're in the
great.
car and they start flipping out when they see the big smiling bear, that scares them.
Oh, the bouncy castle. Yeah, well, definitely show them this then, and tell them that that's under their bed, and you're going to blow it up if they get out.
There we go.
There you go.
How's it
Absolutely.
going to fit in the room? Doesn't matter. Kids don't think about that. They're illogical.
Oh no, they're folded up and small, but once the air goes in, bang.
All right, right. Let's do some questions on this. When there's only two actors, it's always easy to ask who in this episode went into the Twilight Zone.
Well, I mean, this is always a point of discussion with me because I refer to Rod Serling telling us that this clearing in the woods was the Twilight Zone.
Right.
So we could think about it like the nervous breakdown was her trip into the Twilight Zone, and the trooper like just sort of took his own trip. So I would say maybe he went, and she was already there.
Yeah, I feel like she might have been in the mental health zone, right? And once we're in this alien situation, now it's a Twilight Zone. So
Mhm. Okay.
I think I would make that distinction. I don't want to call her nervous breakdown the Twilight Zone because that was her job.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's what she called it, but she actually went there.
Yeah. That could be a case, but I mean, I assume the alien stuff is like just started, which is why we're calling the trooper out from, 30 miles away into the Bumpkinlands.
Mhm. Sure, it goes from zone to zonier.
But yeah, yeah. I mean, if you want to go with Rod specifically saying the clearing in the woods is the Twilight Zone, and they walk into the clearing in the woods, so it's not as
Both of them go.
exciting visually as Little Girl Lost. I mean,
No,
Big Dumb Alien again does it's a contender, but yeah.
God. No, Little Girl Lost shows the Twilight Zone, and that's the hill I'll die on, as the kids say.
Although now that I've been to a couple of the Team Lab digital art installations in Tokyo, that's kind of like walking into the Little Girl Lost episode, but now it's in psychedelic color and
Ah,
moving.
yep, my
So
point stands.
shout out to that. No, no, for 1963, Little Girl Lost is just fantastic imagery.
Oh, yeah.
Um, do these two deserve their trip into the Twilight Zone?
Oh, my gosh. I think he does.
Because of his
I feel
job?
bad.
Because he doesn't trust her?
I feel bad because she's already had a bad experience, and so her then going into the Twilight Zone, if we're gonna say, I just think is like salt in the wound. But the trooper, yeah, I think he deserves to go because he was skeptical from the very beginning, and he was doing a lot of those traditional cop things. Like, sure, sure, lady, you know.
Well, he was a 1964 cop for sure. So,
Uh-huh.
I mean, the
Yeah,
Dragnet guys were a little more fascist than him, though.
they were. They were a lot more. Thanks. I agree. But he's still, he's victim blaming from the very beginning, you know, and that alone deserves a one-way ticket
Hmm.
to the Twilight. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I wasn't gonna say either of them deserved it. He was a little grating, a little annoying, but he is, doing his job. And unfortunately, that behavior in 1964, and unfortunately probably today too,
Yes. Now.
yeah. I mean,
Yes.
so it like also we have to remember neither of them really get too. They just had a weird experience in the Twilight Zone, more or less, right? They didn't end up
Mhm.
like dead or more insane or anything. So
No, they didn't.
they got a pretty light touch. I mean, they didn't get a comedy episode. They got unless well we are laughing at the alien a bit, but yeah, they didn't get a comedy episode. They come out pretty unscathed.
Okay, and
They
he
got a
does.
story to tell.
They do, and he does. After all that I said about the cop, he does seem to have a respect for her at the end that he did not have in the beginning.
No.
Because he says something. If they come back, I bet you'll spit in their eyes or something like that, or spit in its eye.
So
I
perhaps he
thought
has been
that,
improved by the Twilight Zone.
yeah, maybe the little trip turned him into less of a dickhead. I mean, he's still a cop, so that's unfortunate.
Well, we
But
get the dickhead when we see the 50-foot alien, don't we?
yes, explain it to me. I don't get it.
Um, Sorry, did you finish your thought? I was coming in with
Oh yeah,
dumb jokes.
absolutely. No, I'm about to go in for some karaoke at Cine.
Ooh. So let's tripometer this guy. Zero is not trippy at all. Five is very trippy.
Mm. This to me, I'm gonna do like a 3.5, maybe even 4, because you're not expecting to see what you see. That's a weird ass image, and it stayed with me all over the years since I first saw it. I'd only seen it once, and I remembered it clear as day.
Yeah,
So
I'm going additive 2.5 for that guy, right?
yeah,
Because it is so weird. And a little higher for some atmospherics. I was basically thinking three. You know, it's got some nice trippy atmospherics, but it's certainly
so
like a full-on mind bender, you know. I mean, it's like a 50s B movie mind bender, you know, which is
it is.
it's
Yeah,
only
and
so trippy.
they were so the giant things and the force perspective. That was a real kind of common thing. But I feel like just on its own, in the context of some of these other episodes near the end of season 5, I mean that one is just like they were intending on doing something excessive.
I can be so fooled by forced perspective. I was trying to work out forced perspective last week and I still couldn't. I think it's because I just have real bad depth perception. Also, when I'm driving, people are like, "Why didn't you turn?" Because I can't tell. You know, if I was, that's I never played much baseball because the ball would hit me in the face because I thought it was still far away.
Yeah, that's probably why, man.
So anyway, theme parks can very trick me because I can't tell. Anyway, you're gonna do some karaoke. What's your karaoke standard?
Uh, it is Wig in a Box from the Hedwig and the Angry Inch soundtrack.
Oh, I've live karaoke that one for you. Okay.
Yes, you have. I also do Shiny from Moana, Disney's Moana, and I also do Nervous Breakdown by Black Flag.
There we go. Oh, I shall I what I usually go for? Oh, for Beatles and Bowie songs mostly, I guess is what I do. I haven't been to karaoke for a long time though.
Well, it's great here because Cine's lab now has a full like music venue inside of it. So you're singing on the same stage with the same like light rig and PA system and all that as just the regular club and the
Okay,
artists that play there.
I got to do that at a real swank hotel up in Hokkaido where they it was a usually in Japan it's like private karaoke, it's a karaoke box, but this
Mhm.
was public in a really swanky bar. Actually, a video of doing Moon Age Daydream there. But anyway,
Ooh,
that's their karaoke trip. How about what's Gonzo Rick up to in let's say June? That probably makes the most sense.
okay, in June, by June 2025, my our Gonzerfix movie 119.mp4 is out on streaming and available for Blu-ray, not Blu-ray, DVD. I didn't do a Blu-ray for this one. At gonzorific.com, gonzorific.com. Yeah, so that's what's going on now. And of course, my book, Everybody's, Everybodies, is available through Amazon as well.
Right over here, it's time enough podcast. Please do rate and review where applicable. We do a bunch of podcasting at podcastius.org. It's the same thing on Patreon, where we talk about really highly and lowly rated films by IMDb users on Films and Filth. Planet of the Apes live action show just wrapping up over at Podcast 1999, and there's some gamer stuff like Luke Loves Pokemon and the Game Show and Monster Mash.
I'm on some of those. I'm on one or two of the apes ones, and I'm also on some of the films and filth as well.
You know, a lot of those. Always filth
Yeah.
though. It's all you're a filthman.
Oh,
Filthman.
yes, absolutely. I was just watching Glitter, Mariah Carey, a few weeks ago.
Okay, I'll look forward to it. See that is the thing on that one. If it's on the list, it's like I'm not gonna watch it till I get to it, you know?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
But it's just a movie I own and I like. As the same goes for like at least half of the movies on the bottom 100.
You gonna spit in its eye?
um, spit what?
That's a good rhetorical question, just to leave it on. People would think about that.
Oh, okay. All right. All right, man. Well,
Oh,
kick ass.
Okay, I will hit the record here.